Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Senior News Editor with Retail Insider, and joining me today is Sylvain Charlebois, who is Senior Director of the Agri-Foods Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. Thanks for joining us today, Sylvain.
My pleasure, Mario.
And I understand it's a little challenging time to join us today, right? Maybe explain that for our listeners right now.
Thanks to Fiona. Yeah, we haven't had power since Friday. In fact, it was a bit of a scary hurricane. It's our third one since we've been in Halifax. This one actually hit our region in the middle of the night, so we couldn't see anything. There was no power, and we could hear a lot of noise. The house was shaking. And so it was a bit scary. Kids were scary too, but so we had to leave the house, and now we're here in this beautiful hotel. There's a swimming pool, there's a gym. Everyone's happy.
All right, super. Well, not everybody's happy in Canada these days, and this is what we're going to talk about is inflation, and it's particularly when it comes to grocery stores. Highest inflation since 1981 here recently reported. How bad is it out there for Canadians?
It's obviously it's bad compared to 1981. The scenario we're in right now is that food inflation is lingering. It's as a problem. We've actually for 13 straight months, the food inflation rate has exceeded the general inflation rate, and that's why a lot of people are spooked at the grocery store and wondering, okay, so when is this going to end? Unfortunately, we don't have good news there. We don't believe that prices will drop anytime soon, but we do believe that the food inflation rate should drop by the holidays. So, but a lot of people are struggling. Absolutely, Mario.
Yeah. So tell me, in terms of the why, maybe explain to Canadians, why is this happening? Why are we seeing these prices in everything rising?
Well, I mean, it's lingering because of some of the aftershocks that we're still absorbing. Ukraine, for example, commodity prices are much higher. Those prices have actually worked their way through the supply chain. Supply chains aren't as efficient as they used to. Labor is becoming a challenge. Of course, we have to pay people more to move things around, to do everything we need to do. So it's a combination of different things that actually has impacted what we're going through. And of course, COVID and everything related to it, more money in the system, and demand has been erratic. And so that's why right now the food industry is struggling to deal with a highly unpredictable environment, and we're kind of paying for that.
Yeah, exactly. So where are the costs risen? What particular parts of the food that we eat are seeing the biggest hike in prices?
Yeah, according to StatsCan, we were surprised to see that bakery actually is number one right now at almost 16%. And bakery has been a non-story for, well, many years since the bread price fixing scandal, which erupted a few years ago. And but bakery is way up right now. Also, dairy is also showing signs that that prices are more expensive, especially butter, and then produce, vegetables in particular, going up. The thing about vegetables that worries me a little bit is the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar is actually going down. It's getting weaker against the American dollar, during a very critical point of the year. And we do, as you know, Mario, we do import a lot of food during the winter. And if we actually go into the winter with a weak currency, that's certainly bad news for our own food affordability.
Yeah. Now, as a consumer, what can I do in this environment?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, last week when StatsCan released its inflation data, we actually released our own data related to how people are dealing with inflation. And I think media has done a pretty good job giving advice to Canadians in terms of how to cope with inflation. And a lot of people are doing different things. They're using coupons, flyers, they're visiting discount stores, they're trading down with private labels, they're visiting dollar stores even. So everyone is changing. About 75% of Canadians have actually changed habits related to grocery shopping. But there is a 25% out there struggling immensely, skipping meals, using credit card to pay for groceries without knowing when they're going to pay their balance. 24% of Canadians are actually buying less food. And of that 24%, almost 70% are women. So you can see that really some people are really struggling with what's going on at the grocery store.
Speaking of the grocery store, what can they do to alleviate some of this burden in terms of prices out there?
Well, I got this wacky idea I shared on social media last week, and it went viral. And the idea was to voluntary freeze certain prices on key staples, about 100, and that's been happening in Europe for several months now. Several grocers where food inflation is way above 10% for a while now. Carrefour, Leclerc, Weiss, Lidl, all of these chains have actually decided to freeze temporarily the price for a few staples, just to actually help out and show that grocers have a heart. And I feel I feel it's unfortunate grocers are actually dealing with this criticism going on right now. A lot of people are accusing grocers of greedflation, profiteering,
Yeah.
and some of these accusations are just baseless. But at the same time, people are skeptical, and they have every right to be skeptical given some of the things we've seen in the past with the bread price fixing scandal as an example. So
Yeah.
I think it's time for the industry to think about a new way to promote and kind of adopt a new PR strategy, I guess.
So as you said, no light at the end of the tunnel so far, right? For the foreseeable future.
I don't think so. It's going to be rough for a while, and that's why I think the grocery business would need to find we need to become a little bit more creative when it comes to promotions. So I think it would actually make a big difference.
Yeah, super. Well, thanks very much, Sylvain, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right, and stay dry over there, and hopefully everything works out in the Maritimes.
Absolutely.
All right, that's Sylvain Charlebois, who is Senior Director of the Agri-Foods Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Senior News Editor with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.